One game above the playoff bubble, one game above 7th. Shout out G2 eSports. Could not win with Garen yesterday, spoiler alert.
Yeah, so if they pick it and win, they're better than G2.
That's the fact, they would win MSI outright, but we got a Sylas coming in here. Frequently is a jungler. I love the Singe covers for Ruin. I love Singe as the champion. I want to see it played even more often in the LCS stage, maybe at Worlds. Not going to be picked here yet, though.
Yeah, it's been a while since Singe has been very popular. It's still pretty strong in solo queue, but not really a very popular competitive pick. Classic Warwick hover there from Wiggily. It's usually Stixxay actually doing it, but junglers, probably locked in for both sides. Yes, Sylas could be flexed elsewhere, but we are assuming that this is going to be played jungle by meteos, and the question just kind of remains, are we going to have parity throughout? Rakan will get locked in, so we'll see if OpTic are willing to try to take away the Xayah or if they even care. We have been seeing in these last couple weeks more and more Rakan, separate from the Xayah. In the past, it had always been kind of the logic that Xayah is the one that is the stronger individual pairing, so pick that first. But we are starting to see teams prioritize the playmaking that Rakan offers so highly that they're saying, no, we'll just play Rakan even if it's with, Draven, Ezreal, or whoever. It doesn't even matter. We just want the engage.
It seems like Rakan right now is considered the best of the engage supports right now, picking him over Alistar, over Nautilus, over those other kind of options there for the engage support. So Rakan is the one they want. Of course, easily combos with Jarvan for some forward motion. And we can see CLG play aggressively in the team fights or even just ganks based on how that plays out. One final pick in the first phase for OpTic here. They got their bot lane and most likely the jungler here, and it's actually going to be Nautilus themselves. So they've got their support. They've got some engage in the bot lane as well.
Yeah, and I think this is actually still his most played support. So, certainly a comfort pick there. I do think Ezreal makes a lot of sense when you already see such hard engage coming through. You don't want to play a low mobility marksman who can be kind of preyed upon by the Rakan and Jarvan combo. Ezreal should help to stay safe, and also Nautilus can offer some pretty powerful lockdown to the Rakan. It's something that I've had a lot of supports talking about how this is a pretty strong matchup because Rakan is very squishy and you have the point and click CC. If he goes in and you can hook him on his engage, land the root, like he can just get blown up because you can lock him down before he can jump back out to safety.
Definitely a lot of damage can be there, and we'll see if something like a Syndra comes through for even more of that sort of explosive upfront damage. Of course, Rakan has a lot better base stats than he did last year, so he's a bit tankier, but you can certainly still blow him up. And the Tristana top, banned away from Dhokla. Coming into the metagame has been Tristana top CLG, and banning that one away as they know Arrow is going to be the Ezreal.
Very interesting seeing that Tristana taken out. Still only seen it once in the LCS, that concert game, which went pretty well for him. Certainly, wasn't all about the Tristana in that game, but it has seen a lot more kind of bans than picks thus far, and it feels like a lot of teams haven't necessarily been practicing or preparing against it, so they'd rather just take it off the table.
And there's the Poppy ban away. OpTic continuing to remove top lane bans. Yeah, it's interesting that because
they're banning their priority picks.
Exactly. It feels like those are definitely Dhokla's most successful champions, even if they're not actually his best. It's what we've seen him do well with on stage. But they're going to have to blind pick something as CLG get last pick in this game.
Yeah, it's so interesting, perhaps it is just kind of a nod to some of the other picks that they want to go for. If you're going to play a lot of champions with dashes, then certainly Poppy is something good to take away. But generally, I feel like banning out Ruin isn't super effective because he has such an enormous champion pool. He's played, what, 10 different picks?
I think it's 10, yeah.
I believe this split. So, there's always going to be something for him to play. And it is interesting to see OpTic take away the kind of two primary picks for Dhokla, at least the ones that everyone else on the outside is saying these are your best champions.
Right. Across 16 games, Dhokla has 15 on Aatrox Poppy combined. Ruin has 10 champions played in the first place, right? It's like...
Is it really that high? That's insane.
Yeah.
15, wow.
6 and 5, right? Across 16 games.
11.
Sorry. Oh, I totally misspoke.
Yeah.
Across 16 games, 11 on those champions. This could be the 11th champion played for Ruin in this game. I did misspeak. Thank you for correcting me there. But we are going to be seeing what comes through. As we know, it's the almost certainly the Xayah Rakan bot lane, but who knows? CLG can turn things around, hovering Sona. Okay, Orianna mid. They are going to blind the mid laner. They are going to blind for PowerOfEvil. Goes back on a signature pick. His 4th on the champion makes it the most played this split, and they will indeed give Ruin counter pick.
Yeah, Corki is here, both taken away. So, this is, I think, a fairly safe pick to go for. There are some other answers, of course, up there, and Ruin having counter pick when he has such a flexible championship pool makes a lot of sense. I do think Viktor here for Crown would be pretty strong. Match wave clear with wave clear, scaling with scaling in that mid lane, definitely adding a lot to the team fight. And when Nautilus has that powerful lockdown, it makes it very easy to land the lasers, to have the Chaos Storm layered over top of some of these carries and potentially be able to burst them down.
Yeah, I like Crown of the Champion a lot. It's one of his signature picks, absolutely. And you can do a decent amount of side landing and, of course, team fighting here as well. As OpTic going to need to round out the composition. They need to make sure that Sylas is in the right lane, and they need to figure out what Dhokla is going to play himself. We have seen some Sylas tops, but Jayce seems much more likely. Back up enabled this week. That's going to be grabbed up. His third Jayce game of the split for Dhokla.
I would be interested to see if they want to go towards a Malphite. We've been seeing kind of more Malphite as an answer to the Jayce. I do think that Malphite can be pretty strong there. Gnar, also one of the other picks that people used to be pretty comfortable with back in the day when it was more popular. We have not been seeing a lot of Gnar, but range versus range can do quite all right. Ruin has so many options to him. It will actually be the Rumble.
All right.
So very interesting. Going for the Rumble here. You can itemize into the armor quite easily and start to get very tanky. Going for things early like Seekers, like Tabbies, does help you a lot. One of the wrinkles that you have to kind of keep in consideration, though, is that Sylas is going to be magic damage. So if you do stack pure armor and no HP, then you are going to be fairly vulnerable to those meteos ganks. But certainly does have powerful wave clear, powerful team fight, and it seems like that is very much the name of the game here for OpTic Gaming. Solos with AoE ultimates, the easy setup coming through from the Jarvan as well as this Rakan, and that is really where their bread and butter is going to be.
All right, well, keep in mind 914 is the patch where Jayce got lower early attack damage and spell power, and we are still at 914, so that early rank of shield is still incredibly strong on Rumble. They can kind of withstand all of that poke damage. CLG fighting for a playoff bye, OpTic fighting for a playoff spot. They are one game above 7th place with a win. They, I believe, at least guarantee a tiebreaker, if not get an out right if the other teams fail to execute. Here we go onto the Rift, though, as the comps are locked in. OpTic saying that Dhokla is going to feel comfortable on the Jayce, and CLG giving Ruin counterpick. Say that Rumble is the counter matchup that we want to have here. It's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how OpTic does decide to play this out as well. There is always the opportunity to split push when you do have a Jayce, but, with Jayce and Ezreal, you also can look to kind of go for these lethality builds and just group and poke and try to look for the team fights through that style of play.
It's going to be an exciting one. Playoff positioning on the line here in the last week of the year, the last week of the regular season. Postseason on the minds, the chance at Worlds on the minds to represent North America, and they made it MSI Finals. Living in those shoes would be great. OpTic sitting at 8-8, hoping that 8 or 9 wins, maybe even more, could be enough to make playoff positioning as mid laners square off.
You'll note Crown actually taking fleet footwork here. So this is, I want to say it was actually one of the first players I saw doing this was PoE. Certainly had been taking fleet on Viktor, and as well as some of the other champions, even like Orianna. It does scale off of AP as well, so as you get further into the game, it can actually be pretty powerful, and it's going to help him sustain through the area and the Scorch poke during lane.
A lot of movement speed during the fight. So as we get ourselves geared up, as CLG engage in the jungle with some wards down, we had a word with Stixxay about his team, and specifically Wiggily.
Yeah, I'm definitely shocked that we're doing as well as we are. I think, like no one expected just one roster change is going to change this much about a team. But I do think we have really good players. I think the one that surprised me the most is definitely Wiggily, though. He's just, I don't think anyone expected him to be as good as he is now. And especially, even myself, just being honest, I wasn't expecting him to just start popping off and do really well. I thought he needed a lot more time, just given off his results last split. I thought he would need a lot more time in LCS to be good. I knew he'd be good eventually, but I guess he kind of just had a growth spurt or something, and now he's just doing really well. So.
Well, it's interesting, of course, Stixxay himself won LCS in his rookie split. Filled in for Doublelift of all people and took the championship, went to MSI Finals himself. So CLG actually seems to have somewhat of a knack for finding the right players to slot in. I mean, we had Ruin playing over in Turkey and, well, looking like a playoff live potential for CLG. They've definitely had some pretty decent scouting in picking up players. Yeah,
they certainly have. And, as we do kind of track these jungle starts, you can see, meteos did start CLG's red, so Wiggily is actually just doing, vertical jungling, going straight down to the red that they had warded out, and we are going to end up in this scenario where it should just be split map. And OpTic, I think, are very happy to initiate this because they want to play towards this Jayce. They want to be, with the Jayce, getting Dhokla ahead of Ruin. it does mean, you know, Big and Arrow are going to have to play pretty defensively, knowing that a jungler could be down here on this side. But Ezreal is perfectly suited to that, so I think this is very intentional and makes quite a bit of sense with their comp.
Interesting difference here, though, is that meteos gets the entire camp here, clears all the Krugs, is worth a lot of golden experience. Wiggily pretty much got the big one, had to leave because of Arrow coming over to stop him. So it is going to be, though the same kind of camps are getting cleared, the extra amount of golden XP given over is quite different here. And it will favor meteos in the long run, I do believe. As temporarily, you've got one camp up for Wiggily, but I think it's still more to be done overall.
Yeah, meteos will get a little bit of a lead. You know, maybe it's a, you know, 60, 80 gold, whatever.
Yeah.
Not going to be enormous by any means, but certainly will be nice. And you can see, still continuing on that vertical jungling. Both junglers will be able to grab a scuttle. But Wiggily is actually staying down on the bottom side quite a long time. So he is actually looking to try to threaten a dive here. You know, not going back up to actually clear his camps. They want to try to kill Big, and he's very low.
200 health on Big, does have abstract, but it should be on cooldown now, so do they maybe have the damage? Puts the shield on, finds the knockup. Ignite is there as well. They've got the burn, and they've got first blood. Wiggily will not even lose his life for it, so an early kill for CLG, and now they got more. Knockup's not gonna land. TP is coming in, Arrow low on health. The knockup, what a flash! Wiggly's gonna go down! Big gets the kill, credit the last to hit him, and Crown and Arrow take one back as well. OpTic turn around the dive. You're in the deep end, CLG.
Arrow with the absolute outplay there. The sidestep on the knockup, then the flash to avoid another one. Stays alive, still very far down on CS, so that was so incredibly important. If he dies there, that game is feeling pretty doomed. meteos will be able to get some nice poke down on Ruin, but he's got to be careful. Dhokla needs to support him a little bit on the way out.
And overheated, so no more slows coming out, and they can walk away. Ruin trying to feel comfortable again. Here's this dive on Big.
Yeah, so this is just a very good trade. Stixxay and Biofrost hit 3 earlier. They get Big very low. He's still 2, so he doesn't actually have the shield, and he just gets burst down. Arrow, though, good trade back onto Wiggily, gets him very low, and then watch this sidestep. Biofrost goes for the knockup. He steps back out of it, dodging through. Then Wiggily comes over, flash out of the flag and drag. The turret shot gets the kill. Arrow just played that out so damn well, and the TP in response there from Crown was fantastic, but up on the top side, you know, despite the fact that they did vertical jungling to help support Dhokla, Dokla's actually behind and is forced back to base and off of that wave because Wiggily had ended up in that top lane and was kind of threatening a potential dive.
Yeah, so look at this. We got the game state now at 600 in the lead for OpTic. The bot lane turnaround obviously important for that one. Do want to point out that Biofrost, the one who claimed first blood, and Rakan not as gold synergistic as maybe Xayah would be, so hurts a little bit there on the CLG side, certainly within striking distance though. Yeah,
and Arrow, you know, ends up ahead in gold, despite the fact that he was down CS, especially before his base. You know, it's fairly even there now, and he makes sure he's able to get a Sheen buy, so that is quite nice, giving them the additional combat power there. You can see that Dhokla is actually rushing towards a Hex Drinker, where Ruin is going more for kind of a health style of build, likely working towards the Leandries early on, and I think this makes a lot of sense when there is magic damage jungler that could come and gank you. You know, Tabby's Seeker is not going to be very helpful if meteos shows up. And
Flashless has the slow on. PoE not level 6 though, so cannot shockwave. Needed a couple more CS as he roamed down for so long. This wasn't a shockwave timing, but Crown felt safe, of course. No one can stand on top of that ball without that being there. Now Big gonna look for something to do, but now it's on the top side as Dhokla's gonna get the equalizer on him, getting slowed again, has to walk around the ulti. Stays live, half health there.
Yeah, thankfully for him, he has a lot of sustain. You can see another Corruption Potion charge, another Biscuit as well. Ruin, I think, just wanted to reset the wave, and you know, if you can get a really good trade right after Jayce TPs and potentially push him out of lane, then he would lose a lot. So, you know, I think it is a fairly aggressive ultimate, but makes quite a bit of sense, and Ruin's going to be happy with how the lane has gone thus far.
So Ruin is going to try to play mind games here on where he is. Turns off the ward, then walks right back into that brush right there as meteos kills the ward. So now Ruin knows the opposing jungler is nearby, which might stymie his aggression somewhat, but we'll see if he finds any kind of a brush gank here onto Dhokla up there. And CLG continue to push down to the bottom lane. They hold on to that CS lead. Items I would actually put in Ezreal's favor. I would take Sheen over double long skirt every time.
Yeah, definitely the case. Obviously, getting, you know, that early Frostfang is pretty nice for Biofrost. You know, yes, you talked about how Rakan doesn't scale as well with gold as some of these other champions, but I always think getting in the early, you know, Spell Thieves upgrade to kind of increase your gold income, if you can keep proccing it, is very nice, because then you can get to things, you know, like Redemption early on, which can really affect team fights.
Of course. Right now, though, actually has less gold earned from the item than Big does by the tier 1. It's just I find frequently the Frostwing just doesn't quite give you the money you need
Yeah.
on champions like Rakan, who have to be safe about getting engaged upon.
That's why I think that the coin is sometimes kind of undervalued, because I think if you're going to play a lane passively, coin is almost always better. Yes, you may prefer the additional spell power for later on, but the income that you can get from coin, even while playing passively, is so powerful. So
Yeah.
It is something that perhaps is being undervalued these days.
The way that we still see fights up on the top side is Ruin, just lands the Comet, puts a bunch of damage down, and now this could be enough. Forcing the flash yet again. Dhokla at 100 health has to walk away from his own lane. This kind of pick is beautiful.
I mean, this time, no TP. He is going to lose a lot of CS there, and Ruin is running this, right? And the Rumble, you certainly expect to be more powerful in the team fight, so if you're losing the lane as the Jayce, that is going to become more and more problematic. He will be going towards lethality build, so it is going to be more the poke style. I don't think this is going to be that split push style of game here from Dhokla, unless it really kind of devolves into that. But with Ezreal, with Dhokla here, you can look to poke and then hopefully grab some sort of a good engage ultimate with meteos, with the Sylas ult and things like that.
All right, Shockwave ults on a Crown, still flashless, means he will definitely go down. No way out from the combo. And CLG tie the kill score up 2-2.
Yeah, his flash is just about to come up now. Now comes up, but too little too late. Showing off that powerful engage combo. The Jarvan ult right into that Orianna ultimate. No escaping that for Crown, and an easy kill executed there from CLG. CLG really starting to look very, very good in this game. You can see 20 CS up in the bot lane. Top lane is losing. Mid lane just got killed. Things are looking a little bit rough for OpTic right now.
Getting a bit worse now for them. You can see 800 gold difference. Certainly meaningful here is...
Yeah, this is the engage one more time here on Crown. They do get by, but really, as you said, no flash. There's no way to actually escape that whatsoever. So he actually just goes for the laser for the wave clear to try to pick up a little bit more CS. Crown now will be able to grab the blue buff. Early Lucidity boots is pretty interesting.
It's flash cooldown.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. Flash cooldown as well as TP can be pretty valuable there. CDR obviously effective, and just additional move speed as well. Going to try to keep himself safe. You kind of know that as a Viktor, if you don't have flash when J4 and Rakan have ultimate, you're probably not escaping that whatsoever. So the summoner spell cooldown I think is extra important this game.
Definitely agree. So, Crown has the summoners available, and now they're on shorter cooldown, so we can get away from it next time around, hopefully, and they're rolling after that once the CDR actually starts to matter here. As the waves are cleared back and forth, again, the gold difference staying at 800, and we get the first, I should say the next set of recalls coming through. Another attempted knockup there for Biofrost, but Arrow always paying attention. We've got the BF sword in for Stixxay. We've got the tier stacking for Arrow. Flat pen coming through for Ruin, actually. He's actually aiming it at destroying squishier champions.
Yeah, and I think when the lane is going this well, that's totally fine, right? You can go right for that, pick up the Sork Loop next, have double Spell Pen. Double Spell Pen rank 2 ultimate is kind of that point that people like to talk about on Rumble, where you become incredibly powerful with that equalizer, and especially when you have a lot of setup for it, can be very good.
Could be some decent knockups there, but very far away runs Biofrost, and that means with the Ignite and the ult burn, he's just going to run away without losing a summoner spell, so cooldown advantage to CLG, but health bar damage still dealt. Biofrost must sustain that back up.
Yeah, and you have control of the top side. Ruin just dropping the ultimate again to push in Dhokla. They're going to use this time instead of attempting a dive that would be very risky. Just take the Rift Herald, grab this, and you have plenty of time to actually get it out and cash it on some turret plates. Still 3 minutes before those will fall, so certainly expecting them to be able to do that, but
Fight should be clean. That's going to go over to CLG, but now Ruin might have to be careful. Does flash over the wall, getting away from an empowered shock blast. Dhokla at least makes them burn a flash, and I believe they didn't pick up the Herald.
No, they didn't. Wiggily, I felt like could have perhaps stepped back and actually grabbed it. Meteos is now going to be on guard duty, but a bit of a misstep there from CLG. Ruin was heading back to go back to lane, thinking they had already secured it. Wiggily still is in the area. There is the possibility still flag and drag over, then flash out, but would be risky and maybe a bit of a one-way trip. He's going to be spotted as he goes through this brush, potentially.
All right. Timer's running low. Does Wiggily. I love it. Go, Meteos. And you have Wiggily on some wards, and there it is. Maybe hits the whole way through, and that will be the gold for Rift Herald, but nothing else useful picked up, and suddenly now crossing paths again. Ult stolen. Meteos some damage across. Out goes Wiggily.
Yeah, nicely done then from OpTic. A bit of counter pressure there. Does keep him safe, but Big could be in trouble.
A lot of damage. Big has to pop the Zhonya as the stopwatch being burned out. Had no chance to trigger Aftershocks there with the CC coming through. So nice hit right there.
And that really is a critical thing here for Nautilus. You can be fairly tanky if you can actually proc Aftershock You know, but if you get CC before that goes off, you are paper thin, and Rune now in trouble here.
Dhokla has the damage! Dhokla solo kill in the top lane!
Oh, the overextension there from Rune. Rune overheated before dropping his ultimate. He had the equalizer available, and that is the fatal mistake there. He easily would have won that had he dropped the equalizer, but mismanaged the heat.
That's huge.
Dhokla with the phase rush chases him down.
Wow, what a good play then from Dhokla, capitalizing on that mistake. And now it's the movements continuing in the bottom side. meteos, though, actually running through a ward means aggression will not be rewarded here. CLG at least able to recall to the bot lane.
Yeah, so here, let's watch this one more time. He has the heat, you know, set up to try to get this big bit of damage here from the flamespitter, as well as the really big shield. But that harpoon is actually what overheated him. You're in that far against someone with phase rush, Dhokla just chases you down. So had he actually dropped the ultimate before that one harpoon, you know, that is very likely just a one fight, or at the very least, Dhokla has to run away.
Yeah.
Instead, as soon as you see that overheat, you know he can't drop the equalizer now, so it's an easy chase down and kill.
Yep, Q's on cooldown, W's on cooldown. Okay, he can auto attack only. Dhokla says, I have 200 HP, but there's no damage coming back at me, and makes the all-in play. Now trying to stop meteos right here. Nice blast cone play is there as well.
Team
meteos
coming in.
have to burn flash. No, they're not going to burn this one down, actually. They're still going to try it, because they got Stixxay here as well. meteos can E over the wall. Oh, not going to make it, and that's going to be a steal, or sorry, a smite, I should say. Going through the Wiggily, Cloud Drake picked up, now CLG Gaming getting all the neutral objectives picked up, but they could not claim the Herald itself, so just the Drake, really.
Yeah, pretty late dragon here, you know, for this Wind Dragon, but you know, it is pretty common. People don't really have high priority on it. Big, though, getting caught out.
Oh, and the Q, it's nothing, so no way out for Big. He'd have to burn flash, does so, over the wall he goes.
He might still be dead.
They're shocked down, they might find the root. Equalizer, it's burning, and he's gonna get his feet in the fire. Big falls down, CLG get their third kill.
Yeah, Big gets knocked down, but there's no one answering Dhokla right now. Rune with no TP actually roamed all the way down to try to help make this play around Dragon, so Dhokla could maybe just get this turret straight up. We'll see if he has enough time. Very likely won't be able to get it now with Rune all the way back up here, but does get it low, and that is a potential first turret that they could look for if meteos could get up there.
Yeah.
That's something that they could try to pressure down.
Taking a quick look at how the top lane looks right now, it's actually Rune down in gold. It's Dhokla winning by 300 in the matchup thanks to the one he picked up just there. So this is starting to look a lot better on the top lane on a fairly un-jungle intervention matchup. Dhokla is now turning it around. CLG, though, doing well on the bottom lane. You're seeing a farm lead and this turret getting lower and lower. Under 1K, and they're going to stay. Shockwave forcing a flash away from Arrow. Nice play out of PowerOfEvil. And that is first turret going to CLG.
Yeah, well played there. Just roams straight down and actually forces down that first turret. Arrow had a bit of a random arcane shift. Perhaps was expecting that the Shockwave might come out early and trying to anticipate it. But once that was used, he had no way to actually escape that Shockwave, and now looking to try to set up the dive. No equalizer available.
Equalizer up, though, for meteos. They don't even need it. The turret goes down first. They find the stuns, and Ruin finally going to get burned down as well. And Crown gets his first kill of the game. 3 players top lane. Turret falls, and so does Ruin.
Yeah, that is great. They got Stixxay's teleport as well. You know, Stixxay teleported on a very low HP turret, so, you know, intelligently, OpTic focuses down the turret, then goes for that kill, denying the teleport and the return damage, but Dhokla looking like he is dead to rights.
Yes, flash slow, flash slow, waiting for his own flash shot. Nice E backwards. He's out of range of all this now. Biofrost, the view's gonna flash for the charm. That is perfect play. A stop on built space. Dhokla has flash. Dhokla has flash. Gets the That is the knockup. Runs away. Are you kidding? The ignite is enough though. And Biofrost still claims the kill despite amazing mechanics out of Dhokla.
Yeah, the phase rush, and he timed the stopwatch so well. Felt like he deserved to get out after that one. That was almost incredible. Still, Dhokla playing it as well as he could have. But it is another turret going the way there of CLG. They now have 2 turrets to the one that was claimed from OpTic up on the top side. And enjoying, you know, a healthy goal lead here. But here's the play one more time. Dhokla trying to push out one more wave. Gets caught being a little bit greedy. You know, this sidestep here was pretty big. He does actually get that phase rush procced out, then flash in for the knockup. The stopwatch just barely coming through, actually immuning to J4 damage. Then the sidestep on that knockup was really, really big, but the ignite had enough damage to burn him down. So unfortunately for Dhokla, all the heroics for naught.
Yeah. Heroics, at least, you know, forced a flash and an ignite and an ult and another flash. So yeah, it's positive in summoners, but it feels bad to play that well and die.
Definitely does, but to be fair, he kind of put himself in that position, trying to greed out for an extra wave, so he kind of had to make the really good play to try to make something out of that. CLG now threatening a potential wraparound here, but don't really have the vision to do it. And meteos, it looks like there's pings down there. They know meteos is around here. meteos.
Don't know if he has a way out. He does have the flash, burns it, but he's still slowed, and that's actually going to be enough for the TP coming down. As Crown reinforces, he gets away.
But a nice little play from CLG, a good bit of pressure on that bottom side of the map. They had actually spotted him, I do believe, crossing one of those deep wards that they have down here. You know, meteos had just walked across one of those wards, so that allowed them to set up that play and not only get meteos' flash, but get the teleport off of Crown. So, you know, two pretty big summoners forced out of a little bit of pressure from CLG.
Okay. Look at the game state once again. 300 gold separates right now the second place and fifth place teams in the LCS. OpTic holding onto a playoff spot. And I know from talking to them, they felt bad about last week's results. 0-2 on the easy part of their schedule. That was the part. That was the week. Week 8 was supposed to secure them playoffs. And they lost both those games. Now they play against two of the best teams in the league. CLG, their opponent right now, but so far holding on against a top team. My number 2 in the LCS right now, CLG. OpTic playing them equally so far. Tied in turrets, tied in kills.
Yeah, looking pretty good. You know, very close game thus far. I've got to say, I'm a little bit surprised that the Morellos is actually completed for Ruin. I don't think that there's enough healing at all to really make it worthwhile or even close to worthwhile. Yes, meteos does have healing from the Kingslayer, but this is a jungle Sylas. This is not really that important. There's no lifesteal built up anywhere else. There's no real inherent sustain besides fleet footwork on ground. So I really disagree with the buy, but we'll see if that does come into play.
It's at least ability power, but I agree. I would like to see Sword Shoes done for way more damage, and move speed not bad either. Either way, though, it is CLG claiming this Drake, feeling good about their bottom river control. Zeke's convergence done. Watch out. Okay. We'll be able to walk away, no problem. And again, we can see the push going into the mid lane as Arrow lands a chunk. Not CC'd, walks away cleanly.
Yeah, PowerOfEvil looks like he's likely just going towards a second item death cap. It could be the Spellbinder, but, you know, building a very AP-heavy build here will make that Shockwave so powerful if he does hit it with the Ludens, and then when he completes that second large rod item, he is going to be sitting very, very strong. Meanwhile, you have Crown on the other side, you know, upgrading the Hex Core, and then also going for that Rylai's. So the Rylai's with Fleet Footwork, you're going to be able to slow them down with the Q, speed yourself up both with the Fleet proc as well as your Q speed and shield. So this is much more kind of a scrappy, you know, kite him out style of build, chase him down. If you start to win a fight, it becomes inescapable because he can slow you with the laser, then catch up and continually slow you. But the initial bit of damage is much lower than some of these other style of builds like Lichbane, Viktor, and these sorts of things that can kind of one-shot you.
Yeah, it's a much kitier build right here. So if Crown can play the longer fights, with the only frontliner being big, that can be a little bit more difficult, but he's going to try.
And maybe it is alluding to the fact that he wants to play more side lane. Right? You know, because I do think this is a great side lane 1v1 style build. You know, if they do want to go into more split push, then hey, that makes, I think, a lot of sense. And we'll just kind of have to see how he does play this out.
Absolutely the case. Items still stacking up right there. 2 done for Stixxay. Rapid-fire cannon is in there. Helps get occasional extra shots down to the turrets, as you might see right here. As it stacks up. Almost has it. That wasn't even rapid-fire cannon. He just auto the turret once. There's the rapid-fire cannon. He hit the turret a second time. Items at work. Crown Shockwave. He's going to have to pop his stopwatch. He's got the reinforcer coming around now. No stun landed for meteos. Nice sidestep for Wiggily. And out goes OpTic, but that is a cooldown or even an item gone for Crown. Has to wait to buy a full zone. He's now to get that back.
Yeah, great stopwatch, though. Does save his life, but it is CLG pressing here in the mid lane. OpTic has a lot of wave clear, though, honestly, with the Viktor, the Ezreal, even Sylas. You know, for a jungler, has very high amounts of wave clear, and they have Dhokla pushing up in this bottom lane, so, you know, are able to dissuade CLG from going any further.
All right, they're going to walk away for now. Feeling safe, though. OpTic playing the side lanes a bit more. As you can see, Crown now up in the top lane, clearing a wave away. It's CLG mostly who've been able to push in that side. As we kind of get the map to a more reset state, we're 2.5 minutes away from the Ocean Drake spawning. Baron itself is up. Neither team feels like they're in enough control to rush a Baron down by any means. The game remains within 800, CLG slightly ahead.
Yeah, also worth noting, CLG does have the Mountain to help them with that Baron potentially. You know, can make that a little bit faster. meteos going for kind of the CDR garage sale. This is, I think, a pretty effective jungle Sylas type build because you really do want to get to high amounts of CDR so you can start in the later stages of the game to get multiple ultimates off potentially in a team fight. You know, sitting on that Kindle gem, and he has the runic echoes as well as you know, building towards a Zhonya, so he'll be sitting on quite a bit of CDR. Very likely may have actually the 5% from talents as well. Would have to check on that, but going to be sitting on a
35
pretty
CDR.
hefty amount. So 35 already is a very good mark to be at for this jungle Sylas.
Pretty comfortable there. Just shy of 70-second cooldown on the ultimate. Keep in mind, 914 nerfed the max rank ulti from being like a 15-second cooldown to something actually reasonable like a minute. So never gets to that, 4 ulta team fight mark, kind of regardless of build, but does have it pretty short, can have it for every skirmish. There's the turret going down. CLG 3-2 in the turret score now. Still 2-0 on Drakes. Feels like they are still winning the macro game. And now Biofrost in behind Crown. Very tanky on this champion, but it's going to get shot with it again. Now Ruin is here as well. 3 versus 1. Forces the flash out of PoE. Finds a stun back there as well, but Ruin is on the chase. Gonna look for more damage. PowerOfEvil gonna be able to build the space. Ruin grabs the kill. 3v1, good enough to kill Crown.
Yeah, Crown getting a lot done still in that side lane, though. Dhokla is actually on a tower. OpTic is on mid lane tower as well here, so I would say that that's actually well worth, unless CLG can force something else, pressure around the Baron or something. But Dhokla is actually working on the base right now, and Biofrost does have to retreat.
PoE takes a shock blast, now chasing down on Dhokla.
Dhokla may have overstayed his welcome.
Well, they've gotten 1 kill. They lost a turret 4, and looks like there's no other punishment there. So OpTic getting ahead in objectives with this turret damage being dealt.
Yeah, they knocked down that turret. They got a little bit of chip damage on the bottom inhibitor tower. They got some damage down on this mid lane turret. So, pretty decent trade. And credit to Crown for actually getting so much done in that 1v3. Not only does he almost kill PoE and get his flash out, he didn't even blow any of his own summoners and bought a lot of time. So, certainly do see the power of this style of build where he can really look to kite out. And it looks like, building up a little bit of move speed there, likely going Lich Bane next, I would assume.
Yeah. This is going something much crazier, but Crown looks like he's going to be Lich Bane next up there, which is more 1v1 power. And move speed again if you're trying to kite out in the side lanes. Has his flash basically available. CLG on the Ocean Drake, though. These Drakes have not been contested whatsoever by OpTic. They've been giving them away. They're not worth gold, but they're worth stats that sometimes pay dividends later on. CLG still up 1,600 gold, plus those 3 Drakes.
Some pretty interesting builds, actually, this game. So it is Spellbinder Orianna, so it is not the Death Cap second. So, this will give him additional move speed, but it also gives you a really powerful initial ultimate. If you stack up the Spellbinder fully, you do actually get a lot of additional AP, on active. So, the active is going to give you 80 AP maximum, when it is stacked up. So if you use that for your 1 combo, it can be pretty nice.
Here we go, the knockup's gonna be found now onto the top side. Crown once again attacked, has summoners, but is he durable enough? Shockwave just barely gonna pull him back in. A second knockup there, and the damage to be had. Chaos Storm does trade 1 back, 1 versus 4. Actually gets a kill, it's Crown.
Rune was even there too. I mean, he only fought 4, but there was 5 members of CLG topside, and Crown gets a kill. What a beast. They're gonna get the mid lane turret here as well. Dhokla again is in the bottom lane, so these are some expensive collapses actually on Crown. Very impressive to see how well he's able to fight back in these odd man scenarios where he's down so heavily in numbers.
Yeah, has the KDA, looks a little bit weak. Nice smite by Meteos, claims that one, no problem. The short dog strikes back as OpTic.
Well, he's on a ward.
Ooh. Ruin has to run away, does have 2-3 people coming towards him now, finds a slow, but he's not running away, puts down a little bit of damage to the ultimate, trades it back. There's Azonia's buying some time, but he's still 1v3, and it's not gonna look as good as Crown's. He's gonna go down with no recompense, not on his side of the map. It's actually mid though being pushed, and again, we have the same situation of a top lane fight traded for mid lane pressure.
Yeah, CLG at least able to get that end of the bargain there. They do lose their top laner, but now we have Dhokla in retreat here. He is level 14. PowerOfEvil is actually already level 16, so now going to be going towards that death cap. Rank 3 ultimate, has a ton of AP, and notice he does have 100 of those charges saved up on his Spellbinder, so that is going to be really, really impactful potentially if he can time that right in a team fight. Dropping the ball onto Biofrost or Wiggily as they go in. You pop that right as you're going to do the combo for the additional 80 AP, and that is 1 combo territory against a lot of these members. There's no MR on Arrow or Crown. Those guys could easily get 1 comboed.
Definitely some damage output there. Be careful. PoE, high level. Has a lot of burst available. Is pushing down on the side lane down here. Going towards what looks like that death cap third with the extra NLR there. And waiting to see as Crown and Meteos both want to fight Ruin yet again. Level 14 on the Rumble. Not a lot of health, just the Merlinomicon. The one Ruby Crystal puts the ward down. Says, hello! Goodbye. Get away from my jungle. Meteos says, my jungle. Smites it away.
And Meteos now on that Zhonya, so pretty big team fight item for him. You know, Wiggily going full tank, has the Stone Plate, will be very durable in that front line and working towards your Warmogs, which it's always so nice if you have a Warmogs frontliner against a pokey team, because he can just stand there and soak all of the Shock Blast, soak all of his Ezreal poke, and then just back up and regen it out. So it does allow you to have, you know, more effective siege situations and setting up around objectives. You don't have to worry so much about face checking into a little bit of poke.
As the push comes through the mid lane, Arrow on the shortest cooldown ever, just spams Qs, gets rid of the wave. No pressure down there, but meteos is slowed. There's the knock-up attempted, but he's going to flash away from that one. Still, that is flashed down. That is a minor catch for CLG as they push towards his top side. A flashless jungler sees his zone away from Baron Pit.
Yeah, definitely the case. I mean, CLG have really been kind of just roaming around as this squad. They clearly want to group up. They want to be together as 5, you know, utilizing their engage and this shockwave. And now they are going to just start up the Baron. That is on the scuttle. So they should have full knowledge that this is actually happening. But we'll see. Can they even get in there? Remember, as you said, Meteos has no flash, and PowerOfEvil can zone with the ball.
Here come the teleports. They've pulled Dhokla's TP over. Meteos is behind the wall. Big slow down a little bit.
Biofrost on the side.
Here's the first ult. Biofrost looks for the flank play, but
he got
gets
spotted
revealed by the ward. Yeah, control ward and the Scryer, not Scryer's Bloom, the Farsight sort of being used down there as the Honeyfruit is taken as well to regen OpTic back up.
Yeah, Crown is actually pushing mid lane though, so they're going to keep the rest of the members of OpTic here just trying to stop these recalls potentially, poke away at them. Crown is going to be on this mid lane turret with the Lich Bane, and Big needs to be a little bit careful. Lost most of his health actually just to that Baron.
He thought Baron was resetting. It wasn't going to hit him. It kept going for him anyway. But this turret, yeah, very, very low. Might just take the last few shots, and it does. Global Gold goes over to OpTic. In the game, within 1,200 still.
Yeah, so a nice little objective there for OpTic. You know, you give Viktor with a Lich Bane much time alone on that turret, he will knock it down. That being said, CLG do have TP advantage now in the top lane. There are still TPs to match. Arrow and Crown both have theirs, so it's not massive advantage, but certainly can be important. And both teams looking like they want to try to fight over this dragon potentially here.
Bit of damage under Ruin. Bottom river is the aim right now. CLG get a ward over the wall. Big sweeps it. Isn't killed just yet. And that's going to say vision up for CLG. OpTic going to fail to remove that of OpTic Gaming as they run down to the river themselves now. Wiggily taking a little bit of poke, Stixxay the same. Hoping Ocean Drake can do some of it. Control ward comes down. And finally, a couple of these wards will drop. CLG, though, still some decent wards themselves, and they're actually already onto the Drake. Stacked up and ready with all of their ultimates available. This could be the big fight that breaks the game open. Second Mountain Drake again claimed. CLG 4-0 on Drakes as they try to run away. Not quite the hook on Ruin. That might have been the attempted kill.
Yeah, Ruin kind of feels like one of the only viable poke targets at this point. He is one of the only guys they're able to actually get access to, it feels like. You know, his PowerOfEvil, you know, is kind of sitting pretty far back. So it may be the target for some of that poke, but you know, certainly OpTic unwilling to commit to a full-on 5v5, and I think rightfully so. CLG just have such a powerful combo. Death Cap is now complete. 3 items on Stixxay. CLG feel like they're at the perfect point really to take a team fight, and I think OpTic is going to have to be pretty scrappy. They're going to need picks, they're going to need side lane pressure, but at this point in the game, CLG can continually just go to Baron and look to force, rinse and repeat over and over and over. They're getting vision in this area. OpTic will be pulled in, and eventually perhaps CLG will find that engage.
Ooh, true shot barrage hits, I think, almost everyone there, and here comes the runaway from Biofrost.
Just be gone.
Caught. Double Mountain Drake, so much damage, claimed already. OpTic Gaming, big flash, then though finds 2 knocks up. They go in there, look at the damage output, can't quite kill Ruin, flashes away and stays alive. Not fronting zone, he's waiting for later. Shotgun almost finds Crown, but he walks away from that one as well. So OpTic Gaming successfully rushed the Baron and get away clean.
Yeah, they get the Baron, they lose no one, just the flash cost there for Ruin, and I think that was actually really intelligent. You know, if you Zhonya's, then you're pretty much guaranteed to die because your team is in retreat. OpTic will catch up and kill you coming out of it. So I think it's actually better to risk not using the Zhonya's active there to just try to create distance from OpTic, unless your team is fully willing to turn around you and look for a fight. And I don't think CLG was. And now CLG has 4 dragons to 0. They're up 3,000 gold. They have the Baron. This is going to mean OpTic is forced to actually match them. You know, you're going to have to come and answer these potential Baron pushes, which will give CLG opportunities to find those fights.
Jayce on 3 completed items, but hasn't really found the poke kills in these fights. Just said he's been sidelining mostly. Two-shot barrage tags 2 yet again, but OpTic Gaming should feel eventually quite comfortable. Now, one thing to point out is despite how good Baron buff is, Viktor is incredibly, incredibly good at defending a siege.
Yeah. PowerOfEvil actually just bought another NLR. There's not another NLR item, so he may just be going a double Death Cap build. looks like going for a full AP. He is sitting at, he uses the Spellbinder there, by the way. He is sitting at almost 700 AP already, so looking like he just wants to go double death cap, I guess. Pretty interesting thing. And I would assume that Spellbinder does share cooldown, so that wouldn't make any sense. I guess it's just going to be 4 flat AP, or maybe just thinking, hey, we're going to end the game on this push, so let me just build up as much power as I can right now.
Well, you would go double Spellbinder. The AP is the same, and the move speed is not unique, and it's a cheaper item, so you'd build double that instead. But yeah, the active, of course, only one works, as now you push forward, and we'll see if this turret can keep taking damage. The cannon minions surviving enough that it shoots a few more times. But now Wiggily is caught out. A very tanky Jarvan. The ult over the top from the Nautilus as well. Is this the engage we look for? They can't quite find the kills, though. Instead, it's Ruin still feeling safe top side as he puts a couple of shots down towards that turret.
Yeah, Ruin able to get a little bit of damage down here. OpTic do look for that engage to try to push CLG back, but CLG will not be dissuaded that easily. Will knock down a turret. Stixxay still pushing here in mid lane. And it's really starting to feel like OpTic are just kind of getting choked out of this game.
Yeah,
they're not really able to take the 5v5, not able to contest any of these objectives. They are just kind of bleeding out.
CLG Gaming somewhat winning through macro here, just taking more of the map. Even though they're tied in turrets and they're tied in kills, they've got this 4,000 gold lead, the 4 Drakes, the extra farm picked up on almost every single member comparison. They've just been getting more done here, CLG. Slowly but surely eking out those advantages. Baron, though, timing out in 30 seconds. That'll be gone before the next Drake spawns. There's very little left to claim here. Bot lane tier 2, they're going to be the target. No one from OpTic is around. They will indeed choose to sack this turret. The inhibitor line, the only thing left now for OpTic.
Yeah, and they will have to try to make their stand there, but I do think without a flank, it becomes so incredibly hard to actually engage. If Big just runs straight at them, you're going to have to be engaging through the feathers, through the potential Orianna ball as well. They're not going to be able to hold the line. There's
a window that matters right here, which is CLG has not shopped and OpTic has. When Baron falls, I think OpTic are actually stronger despite the gold difference because the gold hasn't been spent. I would actually take a fight here as OpTic with, look at that, 6,000, 7,000 gold unspent by CLG. I actually believe the items are stronger on OpTic's side. The question is, can they find the fight, though, as OpTic can't get the way in just yet?
Yeah, it's just so hard to engage straight at them. You know, Nautilus can run up and press R, but I don't think the rest of the team can follow up through this front line and through all the damage that they do have.
Well, they're going to still walk forward, though. CLG feeling comfortable. The dunk comes into the back line. Shockwave on a 1, but it's only the tank in the front line. Knockup there comes in for Biofrost. They do shut down big. 1 for you. The chase down gets Sylas now as well. 2 for 0 CLG. A quick stopwatch there to keep Stixxay safe. He's got to be careful, though, as damage comes in. Arrow almost finds, has to flash away. Dhokla finds 1 kill. He's got to knock him back and run away. He's just barely staying alive. Now Wiggly's quite low. Here's the ulti coming across there. That's a true shot barrage doing almost nothing. And the shock blast, neither that. 3 kills for CLG. Only 2 traded back for OpTic. The inhibitor falls.
Yeah, fairly even fight, but CLG do claim the inhibitor and will retreat back to yet another dragon here for them. Gonna be the last regular dragon of the game, but here it is one more time. You know, the engage honestly wasn't even very good from CLG. You know, they do get in here. The Shockwave is actually flashed. The Equalizer is really only on Big, so there's not a lot of kind of damage coming out on the critical members, but they flash forward, they knock down Crown, and Wiggily able to body block out here for Stixxay for quite some time, helping to keep him alive against Arrow. Dhokla then decides to go for that trade, jumps in, does knock down Stixxay, and is even able to get out with that phase rush, but CLG do come out on top in the fight despite that, and we'll be able to walk away.
Those are the new items coming through as everyone shops.
So PowerOfEvil sold the NLR. So I think he was just thinking that's immediate power, we'll win right now.
Okay.
So he did sell it. He bought a Morelos. So not the most efficient spend of gold.
Yeah. You lose 30% of it, but whatever. You got the knockup now over on the top side as you're getting a lot of damage towards Big. Ults in, finds Ruin. They will still kill the Nautilus. Even burned his flash, but it didn't matter right there. So again, CLG finding those picks.
Yeah, CLG are just looking so damn strong. They haven't even been able to get an effective Shockwave combo off in so long. If they ever get that, you will just die. I think is basically anyone on this team. There's no one that can really withstand PowerOfEvil at this point in the game. He has 100 stacks on the Spellbinder once again. He is sitting at such a monstrously strong spot. Stixxay as well, nearing full build here, and we'll see if OpTic can even get in range to attempt something.
He's trying to mark meteos to spot out where he is, make sure he can't get into the pit right now. Does not have flash, and CLG should know that. PowerOfEvil jumps in, easy pickup on the Baron. Well earned, there's the dunk. There's no way out for Crown. Shock over the top. Ruin not even traded back. They can finally find that next kill, probably. Meteos very low, Ruin flashing away, and they will claim that one too. 3 unanswered kills for OpTic Gaming. Plus the Baron on a ward is Dhokla.
Yeah.
Arrows running away too.
I think they're just going to get chased down here. Wiggily is so fast.
Oh, now he's in a 1v2. He's got to be more careful. Finds the shield, though, and does run away as the rest of CLG push down the mid lane. Big is alone. They're trying to stop those recalls, trying to stop the TPs, but they're both trying for the flash, the burst damage. They can't quite kill Arrow, and they won't get him with that one, but Stixxay will. They answer. The bot lane is dead yet again. A double kill. The stopwatch won't matter. They'll get this one. The Guardian Angel's not going to save OpTic as a triple kill comes through for Stixxay. That's the ace. That's the game. Counter Logic Gaming. One step closer to the playoff bye.
12-5 for CLG. Such an incredible split for them thus far. 7-11 was that cursed mark that they had been stuck at for so long. Now 5 wins beyond that, looking so good heading towards playoffs. You know, they have been showcasing so many different comps, so many different ways to play out the game. Certainly slow and steady in this one, but can you blame them when they got every neutral objective? They got both the Barons, they got the Rift Scuttle, they got, you know,
Herald?
5. That's what I meant.
Oh, sorry, got it. Yeah.
You know, they got 5 dragons as well. So, you know, full control, really. Despite the fact that OpTic was able to fight back here and there, it never really felt too much in doubt.
Yeah, it was at least close for a while. I do want to give some props to OpTic.
Yeah.
They played a very close, probably first 20 minutes of the game or so. There were several situations where, okay, CLG would kill Crown, but you had Dhokla pushing the bottom lane, knocking a turret down there, mid lane getting pressured. There were moments. Like, I still have some hope for OpTic as a team, although they are now only half the game above the playoff bubble. That time is running out with 1 to play. They might need to make some work happen, but CLG, yes, they were the better team. They never fell out of the game ever. That to be fair, was very obvious that they were always fine. And then, yes, better macro, they closed it out.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the point where it became really worrying for me for OpTic was it just seemed like they didn't have the ability to ever 5v5. And once you get to that point in the game, if you're not dominating a side lane, what do, right? You know, CLG had way better 5v5, got to that point, go to Baron over and over, and eventually they were going to get it. And they're just playing so intelligently, I think, to their win conditions. Yeah. And another big win for them.
Huge win for CLG. So now for more on that victory, Tigris is standing by with the victorious bot laner.
I do have Stixxay right by my side after that victory in our first game of the day. And first things first, it's no secret that when it comes to OpTic, you have to worry about those side lanes. The casters touched on it, whether Arrow and Big are going to get out of control in the bot lane. So what did you and the rest of your team do to suppress them enough in the early game to carry it on to a victory?
I just think usually the way we draft and play and stuff like that, we just play for strong lanes, and we're able to just snowball off that this game. So yeah, this game, everything kind of went as planned. It's a bit slow snowball, but we still won, so everyone's happy.
One thing that you said in your interview earlier I wanted to touch on was the growth spurt, your words, that Wiggily has went through within this season. So that, among all of the things that have been going well for CLG, how much of it comes down to that growth spurt?
I don't know. I think it's been pretty impressive, actually. I've never really witnessed a player who just kind of evolves so quickly like that. So it's just been really nice to see. Really glad he's doing well, and I definitely think it made us better as a team. So.
Overall, it seems that you all have your eye on the prize, trying to get that bye in the playoffs. And fans, you can either take that approach of, hey, we're trying to go all the way, anything short is a disappointment, or the opposite, where things have been going well, so anything's icing on the cake. How do you feel on that kind of one side or the other debate?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm just glad we're winning. So.
That's a happy place to be, but that does it for game number 1 here in week 9. So for more on that, let's send it over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Tigris. Not worried or not concerned with anything as long as we're winning.
So it's actually the second option, because one is not happy until we've won the championship.
And the other thing's icing on the cake, right?
On the cake.
Okay, so very much icing on the cake for CLG as they put another win in that column, which does a lot in service of securing that first round bye in the playoffs. It is not secured just yet. There is only a little bit of separation between them and Cloud9. We'll have to wait to see Cloud9 play. But another impressive victory for CLG, and as Stixxay said, everything just seemed to come together for them, at least as the way they had planned it for this matchup.
Yeah, and the bottom lane in particular was a big point of focus early on for both of these teams. And we actually have a replay that I want to pick I got something to pick here with Big, because you notice here that the cannon is not in turret range and he greeds out for it. You know that the jungler is in the bottom side, so he gets chunked so much that it prompts CLG to go for the tower dive. This would not have happened had he not overstepped. That would have been the cannon to give away. And because of that misplay, you're actually now forcing Arrow to try to make a miracle outplay, which he does here with a nice little side step. But you then have to take Viktor that flashes in. He has to use teleport too, and CLG is not shy about punishing that later, where they gank Crown, and we're not going to be able to really show it, but the flash was about 3 seconds before it came back up.
Yeah, I mean, it's about to come up and they find the perfect timing window, so even though, you know, Arrow and Crown had a nice answer to that initial dive, they still get punished later on, and a lot of this game felt like that, where it was trading blows back and forth. In the laning phase, you saw that in the bot and mid lane. Top side, Dhokla is getting his flash forced, but then Rune misplays once, and he's able to get a solo kill back on him. And so this was happening all over the place.
I really like replays like this, and I'm glad that Crumbs brought it up, because it's like going back to the root cause of all of these deaths comes down to just looking at that cannon minion with this huge double stacked wave in front of you.
That tower guns, I gotta get it.
He wants to get the tower gun so that they both get gold. You have the option of just having your Ezreal CS it like normal, but it's those small things in League of Legends I think are so cool that you can see actually the decision path after that that cause not only the bottom dive, but then also mid lane dives that are happening, and those are the sorts of things that CLG is tracking and are contributing to their consistent wins.
And you know, this is actually the first loss that Viktor suffered in the LCS. Up to today, it was 6-0. Now the first loss handed to, or by OpTic, now 6-1 in the champion. So bit of a smear in the champion's history, but so it's...
But it is very interesting to track kind of the way that all that has a cascading effect, because if you isolate just that bot lane play, you might say that OpTic came out the better for it. You know, even with the TP and everything coming in, hey, we only had one person die, we traded back some kills, but when you do roll it forward, that's where you start to see the forward thinking of CLG and how it pays off, knowing what they forced OpTic to spend to avoid that bot lane play.
Yeah, they continually attack the Viktor, and it wasn't just that play mid lane too with that one flash. Constantly in the side lanes, they again forced Crown into these situations where Crown is on his style champion, you know, the Samsung White, bringing back the Viktor, and he gets kills, 1v3 outplaying multiple scenarios. However, it was kind of weird that both the teams were opting into these situations where they send like 4 or 5 people to kill one side laner, giving up a tower and, you know, a lot of objectives for it.
So then let me ask you this very simple question. Mark, how did CLG end up winning this game?
I mean, it's pretty easy when you start looking at like where the similarities stack up. Kills are similar, gold is similar, turrets taken are similar. They're making the same plays of overextending for kills and side lanes. And suddenly you look at the dragons and you're like, oh, CLG has 4 dragons and 2 of them are mountains. They're also the best dragon control team in the league, basically. So you put that on top of that in a very close game, suddenly they can just brute force Baron down. And that's actually how they won, was through their objective control around Dragon.
And it's no surprise that they had the Dragon control. You look at that team comp with Jarvan, with Rumble, with Orianna.
Don't walk into the river.
Exactly. They build the team. It's no accident that CLG are falling into these sorts of things. It's no accident that they have first place in Dragon control. They built for it.
Yeah, they are, I think, very aware of their strengths, because they talked about in the interview there, Stixxay is like, oh, well, we want strong lanes. What does that give you early on in the game? Dragon control. Yeah. I don't know.
Don't lose your pen, Mark. Don't lose your mind. Let's check in with the standings, though, because I think that is important in this last week before playoffs. You can see there that CounterLogic Gaming does move up to 12 wins. Of course, they've played one more game than the majority of the teams in those standings. However, that means if Cloud9 drops one of their 2 games this weekend, they cannot catch CLG.
But I also think this truly hurts OpTic Gaming, because the 2 teams behind them, 100 Thieves and Clutch, are actually playing in the 3rd game. So they're guaranteed one of them to be 8-9, tied with them, which forces Golden Guardians in a must-win situation in their next game. And that's not where you want to be for a team that started the season with a 5-0 win streak.
A really tough position for OpTic to be in, now on an 0-3 slide, considering the 0-2 from last week. But let me ask you this. Does OpTic still feel like a playoff team? There's something in the back of my brain that keeps saying this is a team that belongs in the postseason, and yet here in the latter half of the split, they're not necessarily showing it.
It's weird. They play a lot of the best teams in the league very close. It happened to versus Team Liquid, where they should have won that game and made a mistake with Crown being split. And then here, they're neck and neck aside for that, Drake disparity. So they're clearly a good team. But at this point in the season, they dropped too many of their easy games. It's a hard game today and a hard game tomorrow. And that's why it's scary that they might end up not making it into playoffs.
Without a doubt. We are going to step away, but Cloud9 faces off against Golden Guardians when we return. Don't go anywhere.